Welcome to the Own Your Life podcast, where our goal is to help bring hope, healing, and peace by sharing our experiences and inspiring you to own your life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own Your Life podcast. Today is episode 79, and I figured I wanted to talk all about health. That is going to be the word for the year, and our church is actually doing the same word, which I think is amazing, and we'll be paralleling, what we are going to be focused on based off of that as well. And I'm excited because health is definitely one of the categories that I'm very passionate about, not just from a physical and, exercise and eating standpoint, but definitely from a mental and emotional standpoint and spiritual. I do think that there are so many areas that we can be healthy in, and that it's important to, focus on those, because a lot of what we do and who we are stems from our health. If you're not physically healthy and able to do much, that greatly impacts your life, as well as, being maybe mentally incapacitated, that's going to rule your life. So your health is very, very important. And I've always been interested in this topic because as far as, physical health and getting your mind right and whatnot, like, you have control over that. And so as being somebody who does value control, just part of my personality, but I've also been working to fight the bad side of that, because there's a good and bad to everything. But with having the control of the physical part, I know that when we got into bodybuilding years ago, that I was so happy because it was something that nobody else could do for me. Like, you couldn't fake the results. You had to actually do the work, and it was up to you to do that. And I think that, I've just valued that, and that we do have the power to control our health. You do get to choose what you eat. I would say most of the time. I don't know if I've ever been forced to eat anything, but I think that it's important that we get that, straightened up, because this is the year. This is the time. If you've never been healthy before, I would definitely highly recommend that you look into it, whether it's your mental health that you need to get right, or maybe relational health, physical health, spiritual health, anything like that, emotional health that you need to get in check, that this is the time to do it. And it's the start of a new year. I cannot believe it is 2022. I hope everybody had an amazing holiday season. I know that we did, and I'm just really appreciative of each and every one of you for listening to us and continuing to do so. If you are new here, welcome to listening to the Own Your Life podcast. And part of owning your life is health, and that's a huge part of it, because like I said before, if you're not physically able to do anything or much of anything, that's going to impact a lot of areas of your life. So definitely for physical health, make sure that, whatever your schedule is, that you're able to fit in, some exercise and getting the blood moving, getting some cardiovascular movement is really important, just in your overall health and mental well-being. And I know I said this before, that, I've never left a workout thinking I shouldn't have done that, because at the end, I'm always, happy that I did go. And I think that there's so much that can be benefiting us from taking care of our health, not just physical, how you look, but it is going to affect how you think, how you feel, and maybe getting rid of like some brain fog, or getting rid of, a poor mental state, because when you do work out, that does release endorphins and other chemicals that helps you have a more positive mindset and helps you really be happier in the end. And it is just overall good for our bodies to be good stewards of what we have, because you only get one body, and it is up to us to take care of it. And with that also comes with maybe getting rid of some bad habits that we've had over the past year or so, or maybe it's just recent for you. But I know I definitely overindulged over the holidays, and I knew I would, so I'm not surprised that I did. But I actually did better in some areas that I thought I might have done worse. But the good news is that you can change it now. You can change it starting today. All is not lost. You can start right now and turn around. Maybe it's how you're eating. Maybe you're not happy with your eating habits. And a really easy thing to do is to get rid of the stuff you don't want out of your house. You can donate it or throw it away or give it to somebody else. And then when you go grocery shopping, to not replenish whatever those items are. And you probably heard this before, but you can shop the perimeter of the store. That is usually where the produce is and all the more fresh ingredients are, so that you are not going through the aisles and seeing all the chips and candies and, baking stuff and whatever, but that you are focusing on, the healthier items and things that you probably should be eating, but maybe you're not eating right now. And I know that it is easy to fall into holiday goodies and all of that, but now that we're out of it, it is time to clear it out, to make lifestyle changes again, not New Year's resolutions, because usually they don't work. And if you are on a New Year's resolution, I do hope that you work to make it a lifestyle change and not something that you're just going to do for the next month or so and then possibly give up, because most people do, unfortunately, because willpower is just not enough to get us there. And making an actual lifestyle change makes it so much easier. And especially if you have accountability, I think that if you've got somebody else that either is doing the same thing as you or can at least check in on you, and maybe you check in on them too, you be like accountability partners, that you're going to be able to achieve whatever that goal is so much faster. And it's more likely to stick. So you're going to get the results that you want because you're going to be holding yourself accountable with somebody else. And not just relying on your willpower. But I think when we know that we have to answer to somebody else, maybe to tell them at the end of the week, like, oh, I didn't eat 2 pieces of cake and maybe a muffin and all this stuff, like, it's easier to not indulge in that, because you'd rather be able to tell them you didn't do it than to have to admit that you did it. So that can be a good motivator to be, in the physical health that you want to be, to have an accountability partner. And it's why so many people do have like physical trainers at the gym, because it's not that they don't know how to do. Some people don't, but it's not necessarily that they don't know how to do the move or whatever the workout is, but they need somebody to hold them accountable, because if they don't, they're most likely not going to follow through and to do it. And also, besides just, physical health and working out, it is important to have the proper vitamins. And I know I've talked about this before, but to make sure that you do have enough vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, all the things, magnesium, things that are just really, really healthy for you. And especially with all the COVID stuff going on, that vitamin D is very, very imperative. If you live in a state that is not very sunny, or you don't get very much sun on a regular basis, maybe because of your work or whatever it is that's keeping you inside, that you do have proper vitamin D. So I would suggest, if you don't know, to have your blood checked so that you can find out, because it's not smart to just go ahead and take something that you don't know what it's going to do. So I would not suggest just to go out and buy a bunch of vitamins and try them, because that's not smart at all. But to get your blood checked so that you know where you're at, and you can get recommendations from your doctor to help you find a supplement that is going to help you be healthier, a healthier version of yourself, and to help you fight off any sickness that you may get, whether it's the common cold, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu, whatever it is, just to help you, be better, and feel better, and to operate better in your everyday life. And I think it's just something that's overlooked a lot, but it is something that's very important, especially with what we've seen with all the COVID stuff. And that vitamin D is a huge help in that area. And as far as our mental and emotional state go, it is still really sad to me how much that we see of, emotional health just tanking, and suicides increasing, skyrocketing, actually, not just a slow increase, but quite drastically. And a lot of people have lost hope. They've lost all purpose. And I do want to encourage you that hope is not lost, and that you do have a purpose and you do mean something. And if you're feeling that way right now, I would suggest that you reach out to somebody and you talk to them, because there's so much power in relationships, and it is important for us to have each other, because we were made for relationships. I truly believe that God made us to be in relationship, and that we're not supposed to be isolated and just kind of being like a, hermit crab in our house and not reaching out to anybody. I think it is very, very important to have those relationships and to be open with other people, and to, be self-aware that if you feel like you are going down a bad path, that you do get help, because the alternative is not worth it, and your life is valuable and you matter. And I just want you to know that, and that taking care of your mental and emotional health can also increase every area of your life, because a lot of, how you think and what you do and your actions and everything, obviously that's going to equate to what your life is. So if you are, depressed or anxious or upset all the time, that's probably going to affect every other area of your life. You might stop taking care of yourself physically. You might be performing at work poorly. You might have bad relationships at home. And it is just another important area to take care of. So if you notice that you do need help, or maybe you're on the brink and you're like, I don't know, I feel okay, but then other days I don't feel okay. Just reach out to a friend and just talk to somebody, because I think you'd be shocked to find out so many people feel the way that you do, or might be able to relate to something that you're going through, and that you are not an island. We are not alone. We are actually connected a lot more than we think we are. It's just opening up and talking about it. I know a lot of people think that whatever they're going through is unique to them and that nobody else has ever gone through that. I'm speaking to myself because I've thought this before, that nobody else has had the same issue that I've had before, and that, talking to somebody would be pointless. But I have learned quite the contrary, that it is important to reach out and to get help in an area, especially your mental and emotional health, if that is something that you are struggling with, or something that you really want to change for 2022. Maybe you didn't handle 2021 or 2020 very well, and you don't want to make the same mistake for this year. And I would encourage you to maybe join a small group at your church. I know I've done that, and I love it. Mine in Tampa is amazing. So thankful for all of them. And they've just been a great help in just having fellow women around me, and being able to share and relate to them with other stories that we've, multiple of us have gone through, that maybe if I hadn't joined it, I wouldn't have those connections. And I think that that's just really important, to have relationships and to have somebody that you can talk to, whether it's one person or 5 people. That it is important, for our mental and emotional health, because we are relational beings, and isolating ourselves is possibly the worst thing that we can do. Because if you look at jails, the worst punishment that you can get is put in isolation and put in solitary confinement. That's pretty awful. And I know that we are not made to be in isolation. So make sure that you are reaching out to somebody, whether it's, even if it's via Zoom. If you can't see somebody in person, I strongly suggest seeing people in person. It's just different. It feels different. And I feel like our bodies just react differently when we're in person with somebody than when we are facing a screen and just kind of watching ourselves and that person. It's can get a little awkward. And it's not the same as being in person with somebody. But to make sure that you are, aware of your health and making proper adjustments, as needed, so that you really can own your life. Because if you're unhealthy in one huge area of your life, whether it's mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, relational, it really is going to change all the other areas in your life, and probably not for anything good. So it is important that you take care of yourself, and that it goes back to the airplane analogy, that you pull your mask on before you put on somebody else's oxygen mask, should that event ever occur. But it's the same thing. If you're not healthy, it's going to be really hard for you to help anybody else around you, because you're kind of just pulling them down with you. And that it's important that you reach out, you get the help you need, and that you recognize where you're at. And I know for a lot of people that's really hard, but maybe it's asking, maybe you don't know, maybe it's asking somebody around you their perception, which is a really hard question, because you might not like the answer that you get. However, it could save your life. And I just think that, I'm so passionate about health. I have been for years. For my own health journeys, that I've had all kinds of issues that I could probably do a podcast on at some other point. But I've been working with holistic doctors, and I just, I believe that our bodies were made to heal themselves, and that if we have the proper, whether it's supplements or food or just the way we take care of ourselves, that we can have our bodies operate the way that they were intended to, even with all the things that are available to us. Because obviously there weren't like all this processed food years and years ago, but I feel like that we are still able to adapt and to be able to handle the stuff in our environment now with a holistic approach. And the last thing I just want to talk about is spiritual health. And this might totally turn you off if you're not a spiritual person, you're not religious. Maybe you don't even believe in God. But for me, I do believe in God. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And I know that spiritual health for me is so important, in that I put all of my faith in God. and that I do know that what is happening around us is a spiritual battle. So many things that you can't explain that are happening, I feel like, is the enemy just coming to seek, kill, and destroy. And this might be freaking some of you out. You might be like, what is she even talking about? Is this mumbo jumbo? But for me, I do believe in a spiritual realm that there are, good and bad forces working for and against us. And I do think that having a spiritual connection is very important, and working on our spiritual health. I know that, I attend church regularly, and I also am in my Bible regularly on my phone. Maybe that's not the best way, but I do prefer that because I'm usually moving around. So I do prefer having the Bible app speak it to me instead of me just staring at the book and, maybe marking it up, highlighting or making notes or whatever. But do what works for you. But for me, spiritual health is so important. And I've seen so much breakthrough in my own life because of spiritual health, and to focus on that and focus on my prayer life, and to make sure that my connection with God is as strong as I, can possibly make it on my end, and that I am faithful and focus on that. But I think that, this is the year to focus on health and to get back to, or maybe you've never been there before, just get to the healthiest version of you, so that you can own your life and you can love the life that you live. And with that, please share this message, please subscribe, please rate and review us. And until next time, own your life, because your life is your responsibility. Thank you all for listening. If this added value to you, please click subscribe and rate and review us. You can also find us at Own Your Life Co. on Instagram and Facebook, and ownyourlifeco.com. And as always, own your life, because your life is your responsibility.